It's time to start your morning by taking 5. Here's your host, Matt McMaster.
You're listening to Take 5, a quick 5-minute take on the biggest things happening in Nebraska sports. I am your host, Matt McMaster. Troy Dannon, little bit ago, just got off of a press conference stand in what I think will be deemed a Husker State of the Union, if you will. Said a lot of things during the presser. I mean, I think it was about an hour long. And so there's not enough time in this Take 5 episode for us to break down every single bit and piece of what Troy Dannon said and what were the high notes and the low notes and the important notes. I'm just going to talk about one topic in particularly, and that is the stadium project. The University of Nebraska announced a little bit ago that they're going to, a couple days ago, announce that they're going to have to go through some academic cuts to the tune of $27 million, which has put a ton of stress, rightfully so, on the university system. And when you have cuts of that mass proportion, there is a lot of stress going on, rightfully so. Personally, being a student that was there not too long ago, I can tell you that there were plenty of teachers who kind of anticipated that this might be coming in the future, and that maybe the financials of academics weren't looking great, and that was something that they were worried about. Now it is here, and it is coming at the time where the athletic department is fully anticipating or planning a massive, massive stadium project. And Troy Dannon announced because of those incremental cuts, he does not think it is the time to present a project, and that he does not know when they will present that project and when the wheels will begin to turn there. Now, I want to remind people that about 2 years ago, Trev Alberts initially proposed this plan to renovate Memorial Stadium, and that it was about $450 million at the time, and it wasn't necessarily met with the greatest amount of support. If anything, it was met with way more pushback than support from people all in and around Nebraska athletics, whether it be, mainly just fans. And now we are a year away of where this plan was supposed to be ended. Literally a year ago, or in a year, if Trev's plan had gone through and the university agreed to it and it all, continued, we'd be a year away from it being completely finished. And now we sit here 2 years from when it was originally planned, and there is not a plan that is going to be proposed and approved and then eventually worked on for the foreseeable future. And I think this is just such a interesting and precarious situation, because $450 million, because of some things that have happened in the world and the current economy, has turned into a lot higher of a number that people probably are anticipating being more so around $1 billion, which only makes the project more difficult to get done. And also, too, I mean, who's to say that the cost of things won't continue to go up and the price tag of this renovation won't continue to rise as you wait longer and longer for it to happen? And, the first, 4 minutes of this podcast has been me explaining this entire situation, which, I think in itself proves to you how complicated it is, just in terms of the, first off, approving the people being behind the plan, people agreeing that the plan should happen, and then fundraising for the plan. And now you get to the point where it's like, all right, we're trying to do the things that we can do to finally get this on the ground and get this thing rolling. And then you're met with, well, the university is going through a lot of really tough stuff right now, and it's just not an appropriate time or right time to introduce that and put a close to $1 billion potential plan on the table for them to mull over and commit to. So I'll just leave it with this. That is the situation as best as I can sum it up. I'm not worried. I'm not worried about it, because at some point this renovation has to happen. Memorial Stadium is a place with incredible memories, It's a place that is held near and dear to so many people's hearts. Hell, it's a place that is held near and dear to my heart. We can all admit, though, that it is not the best stadium around. And that, I won't even get into any engineering things that they might have to fix or they might have to renovate or they might have to tweak, because that is not my area of expertise. I'm confident, though, in a stadium that old, there probably is plenty of stuff that they have to do in that regard. I'll just talk about it from a fan perspective point. Like, you go to some of these other stadiums, whether it be baseball stadiums or hockey stadiums or football stadiums, and you're like, man, like, they are prettier, they are cleaner, they are nicer, they're more comfortable, they're roomier, they have better food there, they have better amenities there, they have restaurants there, they have clubs there, they have just more comfortable seating. When you get into the actual stadium, you're not shoulder to shoulder with somebody on the bleachers. You don't have to rent one of those seat backs. You're not scrunched up on your own knees onto somebody who's in a seat back in front of you. It's just like one of those things where it's just the stadium is the stadium and it is the pillar. It is a pillar, maybe even the pillar of the community of Lincoln, Nebraska. At the same time, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in order to make it just better, to make it a more valuable experience. And in my opinion, with how more and more expensive it becomes to go to games, football games, and whether it be because the prices of the tickets are rising and the prices of gas are rising, and just it's $11 for a beer and $8 for a hot dog, like it's, I don't think it's $8 for a hot dog, but you know what I'm getting at. It's just one of those things where you need them and you want them to invest and to make it a better experience. And I am very confident that is going to happen, because it just logically it needs to happen. And so I'm not freaking out about that, but I am concerned with the fact that, man, you keep kicking the can down the road, it's not going to be any easier to get done. And so I totally understand Troy Dannon's stance. I think it's an incredibly appropriate stance, and I think it is much better that he has decided to roll the way that he's rolled, as opposed to try and throw his weight around and force this plan through, despite the fact that there are going to be massive cuts at the University of Nebraska. At the same time, and I'm not saying it's now, but at some point, this thing needs to get on the ground, and everybody needs to give it the biggest tush push it possibly can, because that stadium does need to be renovated. And I think the fans of Nebraska deserve to have a stadium that is up to par or closer to par with the college and professional stadiums that are around the country. So I don't think this is the time to necessarily press the panic button, but I do think it is the time to recognize that this renovation and these advancements need to happen. And yes, I think it's great that they're appropriately taking a step back, but at some point you got to put the pedal to the metal, and you hope it's sooner rather than later, because like I said before, these things don't get easier to do as you go down the line. Alrighty, that's been Matt McMaster. I've been Matt McMaster, and that's been Take 5.